Like our new backdrop?
Yes.
It's looking good, right? It's
It does look good.
tradish.
I'm glad we fucking did it.
Yeah, imperial purple. That's our color. That's the color of our people.
It's for the men.
This is Sage Against the Machine. I'm Joshua.
I'm Isaac.
We're gonna record all over again because I hit the wrong button and
Josh fucked up.
I did.
So all you fans,
I broke the egg. I
all
take
you
full
fans
responsibility.
of Josh, Mom,
You
my
missed-
sisters,
Yeah,
Amy.
You missed good stuff.
Yep, you missed it.
We're talking about immigration, and we're talking about human trafficking, and we're talking about the way things are framed. We were just on a roll. We were mentioning how they're framing migrants today as if they're so dangerous.
Right.
So let's do some comparison.
And they talk about them as cargo.
Yeah, and they talk about them as cargo in the newsroom. We can't recreate what we already said.
No, but we can.
Well, we were just talking about how former waves of migrants, right? Like we have a direct connection to them.
Yeah.
Native people, we are the color we are because of that.
Sure. Yeah, you and I especially.
We live where we live because of that, right? We had successive waves of migrants from Europe
who were incredibly violent.
Who are incredibly violent people whose culture is very violent, and they slashed and burned their way across North America, causing many genocides and stealing every single thing they possibly own. I guess a couple guys from like northern India driving a cab, not a big deal.
Right.
Oh, these dudes from El Salvador want to pick onions for $3 an hour.
Yeah.
Jeez. Color me afraid. Oh no, MS-13 might start a gang war in a city that already has gang wars.
Yeah, huge gang wars.
Oh no.
I mean, it really is absurd when you just take it on its face. You look at the stats, you see the rate of crime committed by, migrants is way lower than natural born citizens. It's just, these people, they come here, they want to go to work, and they do. They have multiple jobs, a lot of them. They contribute. They pay taxes. They
tend to be the kind of jobs people don't really want to do, except for the people on the H-1B visa.
Yeah.
The ones that
who aren't allowed to get another job.
Yeah. The ones that are being treated as sweatshop for tech.
Yep.
And actually pricing real engineers out of the job to keep these oligarchs who are currently in charge of like all your shit.
Yep.
The unelected.
Yep.
We always complain about unelected bureaucrats. This is worse.
They're not even, and I personally, I think the idea of like Senate confirmation for cabinet positions and stuff is kind of bullshit in a way. But when you look at it, Elon goes through no vetting for the position he's in.
No, he just does what he
wants.
wants.
He's a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And these, and he essentially holds those H-1B tech geniuses that he's got working for them, who normally would probably be making, I would guess, upwards of $300,000 a year.
Oh, easily.
And he gets them for $70,000.
Yeah.
Which is, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? That's a very good living, but that's not their true value.
And that's not who's getting the boot.
No.
The ones getting the boot are the poor Browns, not the rich Browns.
Who will do the work, know, that most Americans won't do.
Oh, I've already seen people from like farms in Iowa who are like huge trouble.
Yeah.
Because they can't get workers.
Yeah.
And they can't afford to pay work. Well, that's the exploitation part. Why are we cool with them
doing it to these brown people?
Yeah. Why are we cool with that?
Because not everybody, a lot of Americans look down on them as less than.
Yeah.
They do. And
they look down on physical labor.
For sure. We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
The push for people, who are like under the age of 60 was always, especially in our generation, go to college, go to college, go to college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was never
go be an engineer in tech.
Right. Yeah. That's what they were telling us. They were telling us, go be, go be middle management for some fucking Fortune 500 company.
You rat.
Yeah.
Go move on the wheel, you fucking mouse.
Yeah. Come on, hamster. You know what I mean? I'll give you a fucking pellet if you churn out some fucking bullshit for us.
Well, it shows you the power. Like, what we had. I said this really cool thing. I'm so proud of myself. I said people say, I have a way with a turn of phrase occasionally. Yeah. It just comes from the spirit world.
It's right from the heart.
It's the spirits talking through me. It's not coming.
It's
from
those from the happy hunting ground talking to you.
Yes, I can't take credit, but people speak in propaganda.
Yeah,
and it's becoming so habituated. It is. We all read 1984.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Stop.
You're allowing it.
I mean, Trump is literally doing the memory hole thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to like people of color who have like won congressional medals of honor. I mean, they were your perfect guy. They served the machine. They did the killing for you. Mm-hmm. And mostly in wars that don't matter.
Yep.
You know?
Vietnam is the first one that pops into my mind.
Korea?
Yeah, Korea was totally unnecessary.
Dog shit.
Well, to get involved anyway.
Yeah. You didn't need to do any of that. So in any case.
I mean, really, when you look at Vietnam, they were just trying to keep French imperialism going.
I guess our one good war was the one to stop Nazis, and yet here we are putting them back in power again. What the fuck?
I mean, when you look at it, I mean, if we're talking about truly righteous wars, I mean, doesn't it seem that World War II was the last one?
I don't know how righteous it really was either, and how much of that is bullshit.
Look, I'm saying comparatively.
Yeah, comparatively.
You know what I mean? And I don't know. Like,
how much of this is due to the First World War?
Well, I mean,
all of it.
Even from my non-professional understanding of it, but a lot of it did stem from, the Treaty of Versailles and World War I.
Oh, in the Middle East too. When they took apart that old Ottoman Empire, what happened?
Yeah, I was just listening to a podcast, and they were talking about how, and if people ever bothered to go and check any of this out, but there are accounts from the Ottoman Empire of Jewish people and Muslims living in total peace for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then once the Ottoman Empire became British mandate Palestine,
right,
that's really when the big trouble started.
Well, a lot of it started with a bunch of Europeans who went and did their old colonization thing over there.
And then we can, and then you tie that back to what we're facing right now, with the border situation and what we had talked about earlier.
We were criticizing your border czar, who's a redneck from the North Country and looks the part.
Yeah.
He looks like he smells like cheap rollies.
Yeah, he does. He looks like, he does.
Yeah, he looks like,
He looks like he might throw a chaw in once in a while.
Yeah. He's going to chase the Duke boys over a hill.
Yep.
It's never as funny the second time. But
I don't know. I still think it's funny.
Yeah.
People are hearing that for the first time, so
they're gonna have to look up.
It's good.
They're gonna have to look up the Duke boys.
Yeah.
And will they get the real Duke boys, or will they get the digitally enhanced Duke boys, where they
did that?
They airbrushed out the Confederacy flag off the car.
What the fuck?
I know. I'm not for it.
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
You know what?
I get it. The Confederacy flag is bad.
But
when you're from the South, it's bad.
Don't ruin our childhood.
Yeah. Don't erase history. Keep the bad cartoons.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find the super racist Bugs Bunny cartoons.
I actually found those.
Yeah, you can find them, but you have to look.
And it's messed up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'd never seen them before, and I went looking for
They're
them just because I wanted to
racist.
see how bad it was. It's bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
Yeah. It's super duper racist.
And to me, it's...
But don't erase that.
No, because, taking down the statues of racist piles of garbage, I'm fine with that.
Well, that's fine, and here's why it's different.
Don't stop teaching about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it's different.
That's it.
Teach about those guys.
Sure.
Tell us what they did.
Yep.
And what they really did.
Yep.
Not George Washington couldn't tell a lie. George Washington had slave teeth held in by lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
He probably had lead poisoning, was out of his fucking mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
He had lead in his mouth.
Yeah.
And teeth of horses and people.
Yeah. Yeah.
People he owned.
Yes. People that he owned.
Who he trafficked.
Who they talked about as, they called slaves chattel.
Yeah. So that and
No
that's,
better than a horse.
and that's where language is like important, because that's I was reading an article earlier about the Blackhawk helicopter that is
Making us safe.
yeah, making us safer, as if we weren't safe before.
You people can't see me. I was rolling my eyes. But I mean, that's the, and so the idea of these people coming over now, they get described as cargo, and we have this hillbilly who, as the borders are, who has and believe me, I do believe he is, like we had talked earlier about true believers.
Yeah.
And how dangerous that can be, because they're not typically thinkers. They get this
Right.
They get this thing into their head, and they are so they're so ideologically driven, because they really like that. They'll say that this is from God or whatever, and they'll be okay with whatever they're doing.
Yeah, they're worse. They're worse than the cynic. At least the cynic you can kind of understand. I got distracted.
And they're going to question things.
I was going to look up this press release because, yeah, we have this Blackhawk helicopter.
Oh, the one from
the Canadian helicopter guarding the American border.
Yep.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
We don't recognize it here. We only have a north and south side of our community that we don't recognize.
Yeah,
until the cops do it, and then they totally recognize it, because what they had to say, they had to do the boat, the bootlicking thing. They're protecting our borders so we're safe from all those inbound and outbound.
I told you before, I feel like there's a warm, a heated blanket wrapped around me, knowing that the Canadian Blackhawk helicopter is looking out for our community.
I always feel safer with a big Black Hawk around.
Yeah. Blackhawk down.
I was just looking on the internet for Black Hawks.
Yeah. Well, what were we saying earlier? How they tend to name their shit after like native stuff.
They like to glorify us until they're actually around us.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, they got the Apache helicopter, the Comanche, the Tomahawk
missiles. I mean, it's absurd. And then, I mean, so these ideologues, when it comes to the border, and I'm thinking of Tom Homan and Stephen Miller, and I do believe that Trump, when it comes to the border, I really do believe that he is, he is ideologically driven about the border.
I think he's one of those replacement guys.
Yes, I do too.
He believes that the whites are getting replaced by the browns, and he's not up for that.
And guess what? That is happening.
Yeah.
I mean, white people are going to be the minority in 2040 or 50.
So what I suspect happens, and I earlier we were bitching on the porch about how all the money that gets spent on the various militaries around the world could be actually not being wasted on being afraid of each other, and could be used to fly in space and medical.
Have high-speed rail all over the world.
Yeah. Cool stuff like tunnels that go between countries and things like that. And we could have all that. We have the means now. It's almost like oil was like this gift put here by some benevolent creator. And if we had been a little less fucking squirrely about each other,
or nuclear fission as a means to generate electricity.
We have all the means to put our species into space, to make life a grand adventure for every single person. It's all there. And instead, we have disposable straws and disposable forks and nuclear weapons, and it's really dumb.
Yeah, we have islands of floating trash in the ocean.
Yeah,
that's killing fucking turtles,
and we could still solve that one probably by just having a couple less aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
So, it
could feed everybody by having a couple less.
The language they use on things matters, because they use words like be afraid, be controlled. We have to control, and I wonder how much like that white fear is actually them projecting their own
insecurities
and their own culture onto others.
Well, they've done right.
Their culture is violent, therefore every other culture, that's just human nature.
Yep.
Rather than, maybe it's just this is our culture. And we've internalized it to the point, and we've spread it. It's not just white people who have that culture now. It's
because they've that's the thing is that you've probably heard this before, but there's this thing of like there's no American historical culture, and that's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not true
Right.
in my mind, because as you correctly pointed out, I believe that a major part of the American culture is the spread of violence
Yeah.
and fear.
Right.
You know, in order to control.
It began with violent,
populace.
fearful people. Like
Yes.
the first settlers, you know, the ones that first stayed were violent,
Yeah.
fucking religious nutcases.
They were afraid.
The Puritans.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were scary. There were so the other English didn't like them.
No.
They,
They left because.
they left so they could be more righteous.
Yep. And they were, I mean.
And the Dutch East India Company.
Yeah.
My God.
Did you see Hudson's Bay?
You
is,
talk about genocides.
going out of business now. But anyway, yeah, and then you look at like the Puritans, the Pilgrims, they land, and you know, they're immediately afraid of the natives who are there, who
Yeah.
seem to genuinely have no malice in their hearts for them.
Yeah.
You know,
They have a whole
when it
holiday
starts
about
out,
it now.
Right. Which is, I mean, listen, white people, go find out the truth about Thanksgiving. It was a setup. But, I mean, they really were they bushwhacked them after.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so I mean, this culture is built on that, and they sow fear as a way to, you know, manipulate and control the populace, and that's happening right now. And they've managed, you know, so I mean, the American historical narrative here is the modus operandi is to, you know, make successive generations of working class and poor people afraid of the outside
And afraid of each other.
and afraid of each other.
And want to
And it's
win.
gone across races within the U.S.
Yeah. And want to win. I noticed that going through the conservative Reddit, it's more about being right and winning than it is like uplifting everybody.
Yo, I'm telling you, when it comes to certain subject matter, believe me, the left is just as bad.
Oh, they're just as bad too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to control. There is authoritarianism doesn't have
No.
ideology. It just gets presented differently.
Yep.
We are all authoritarian, but just on what we like.
It depends on what color lenses you're wearing,
Yeah.
red or blue.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Which are both, you know, it's a false dichotomy anyway.
Sure.
Like there are some things I feel red about and some I feel blue about.
Yeah, me too.
Like, you know, I was just talking about world peace, like fucking long-haired hippie wants us to bang our our swords into plowshares and just sing kumbaya with each other. But don't you know there's those slant-eyed people over there who have different beliefs for reasons?
I mean, Muhammad Ali said, you know, ain't no Viet Cong, you know, did it put me in chains or whatever. Right. Like that's the truth.
Yeah.
And you know, the more that we look at like those people who died on the river, I mean, why should we be, you know, I do, you know, and I said it before, people probably will get mad at me, but you know, the truth is, if you look at the books of the U.S., those people were breaking their law. They were, you know, and they had agency in the decisions that they made.
Yeah.
But when you can actually take a step back and be a decent human being and consider, you know, that these are other humans,
right?
You know, on balance, are these really bad people?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing. Is I don't see any evidence that they're bad people. The
Right.
ones who were forcing them across the fucking river that night are bad people.
Yeah, there's that, but there's also you know, that's what I notice is like it's always put into language of, well, migrants are exploited and migrants are human trafficked. That's the word they use, human trafficked. And I get it, there is that does happen.
Some, yeah.
There are people who are against
Well, a
their
lot.
will.
There's a lot, but
Against their will. But most of those people trying to come over here, they had agency in it. They're not being.
They paid money.
They paid money, like
A lot.
lots of money,
Yeah.
like more money than I have.
Way more than I have. Yeah. Way more than you and I have together.
Yeah, to get here. And, you know, if that contract was a bad contract, they still did it. They had agency. They got on that boat. They didn't have to get on that boat. Even if the people were like, oh, you got to go. They could have said, no,
Right,
I'm
they
not
could've.
going to go. You're not going to shoot me in the head.
Right.
They're not going to.
No, they're not.
You're not. No one's doing that really here.
No.
That happens in the world. It's
Yeah, I don't.
We would know about that so quickly. Here.
Yeah, there were definitely, if we knew that if there were migrants who were getting, murked
Yeah.
regularly by people in Acculturation who were, operating these.
Yeah, we're not here
things,
for that.
that wouldn't happen.
We're not hardened.
We would know.
We're not hardened criminals here.
Not like that.
We're more like scoff laws.
Yeah.
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 As
Not
we
even
should be.
degens, just like scofflaws.
Yeah.
That's a good
We
way
are
to term it.
I am a scofflaw.
Yeah. We're agitators.
Yeah. As we should be.
As we should be.
It's our traditions.
I believe that is perfectly, within our rights. Now, well, maybe the way I see it, but then again, you and I are both agitators.
Yeah.
So, we have a different outlook.
Oh, there's a lot of bootlickers.
Than the government
There's a
would.
lot of bootlickers.
Oh, in Acculturation for sure.
But even the bootlickers pretend they're not.
Yeah.
They do the
There's no border here.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, but we'll patrol the river and we'll coordinate with the Blackhawk.
Yeah. That's common.
Yeah.
They'll do the cognitive dissonance thing.
Sure.
Where they're like they either tell you why this isn't their way, but they're doing it anyway.
Yep.
Or they're going to tell you the reason they do it, how they justify it.
And it almost does come across as though like those people will say, well, we don't agree with this. We this isn't our way, but we're gonna play ball.
But they offered us $2 million to patrol this river, so
right, and it's almost as though they're looking at us and expect us to say, oh, good job because you don't agree with this, but you went along with it, so you're just voicing some
good job,
bullshit.
You spineless fucking pussy.
Exactly. Like what's
You're
wrong
just as
with
bad
you?
as those Democrats who won't fight.
Yeah,
they're so mad about who they're calling a Nazi.
You're just as bad as Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, they should come if they really care. In Serbia, the government is throwing smoke bombs into their like counselors are.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm supposed to give you props because you pretend that you believe that we're sovereign.
Right.
I don't buy it
because this border stuff is going
it's going to get worse.
Holman mentioned us.
Yes.
A reporter
asked him a question
about
us.
A very detailed kind of question.
Yes.
The kind of question that someone who might be
Yes.
Didn't sound like a journalism question. Maybe it was, but it was a journalist who is very interested in Onkwehonwe.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Very pointed question.
Yes, it was very, very, and I really hope everybody goes and listens to the question this particular journalist who I still don't know who it was.
I don't know who it was.
But it was certainly there is more substance. There's something behind that question.
That was
extensive.
So he could specifically talk about this community.
Definitely was talking about us. And then Holman just happened to say that he knows all about us and the situation here.
Well, so I bet he's got such a hard on to.
Oh, he does. He's from fucking Carthage.
Yeah, he's jerking off. He's going to give it to these fucking Indians.
He is looking forward to this. He's drooling to come and poke us.
He's going to be the one that fixes this problem.
Yep.
Him.
I'm going to get these wild border Indians under control.
Right.
In a way that nobody's been able to do for hundreds of years.
How do you think he'll do it?
I think that they're going to start putting, I think they might actually put like that border shack checkpoint. I think they might actually put that back up on St. Regis Road.
Yeah. You think we'll do something about it?
I don't think so.
Do you think the people have the will to do the things they used to do?
I don't know, man. Like you look at it, you and I have talked about this before on the show, off the show. And my honest assessment is that, and I hope everybody in Acculturation can prove me wrong, I just don't, and maybe that's the cynic in me, the total pessimist.
Yeah.
I just don't see it right now. I don't.
I've got an alternate idea.
Yeah? What is it? This is going to be a banger.
I mean, Trump already wants a 51st state.
Right.
It wouldn't be that much of a stretch to annex part of the reservation into the United States. And then the border's no longer their problem.
Yeah.
That solves the jurisdictional nightmare.
I get to be the senator.
Nah, it just becomes part of New York.
Oh. Yeah, but if you can't make it the 51st state without, you'd have to convey like all of the, like it's the same thing as like with DC.
Yeah.
Like in order to make it a state,
Right.
you got to convey.
Well,
all
they,
of
they would just annex the part of Akwesasne that's in Quebec and Ontario
Oh, okay.
into U.S.
Okay.
And then they've solved their problem. And they can either keep it as a reservation, which is federal land.
Yeah. Well, they've actually, the borders have changed, in the U.S. before
Yeah.
to solve problems like this. I
Yeah.
believe they did it in Vermont before.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm probably wrong about that.
So that would be one thing they could do.
Yep, that is.
And then they would have full jurisdiction over the river.
And if that proposal came up, what do you think the reaction would be in the community?
I don't know. I think the tribe would wet its pants.
Probably, but what would MCA do?
Disappear.
No, I mean, if it went
Yeah.
through, MCA would
Yeah.
disappear. But do you think that the community in general would be okay with it?
Hard to say.
Well, it's hard to say.
People would be against it just
I'm forcing you to answer.
just on principle. The people would be against it. What could they actually do about it?
Well, they
Not
couldn't
much.
really do
Not
anything about
much.
it. No.
Would it happen legally? Probably. I don't know. Probably not. But it would make a lot of things simpler.
It would, and in many ways, it certainly would.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you did that, I can almost guarantee you that Cornwall Island would stay Canadian,
Right.
and the rest of Saint
Yeah.
Sny would become
Yeah. And they already do a sharing thing on the dam.
Yep.
So.
And they kind of now I think obviously the cooperation on the river and stuff is becoming more prevalent, I guess, or more.
Yeah, to keep all
intense.
those, how they've been so successful at using violence to stop drugs for the last 1,000 years. So,
Yeah, they've certainly rubbed out the scourge.
You know
of
how
drug
there's
use
no
by
more
humans.
drugs? You know how they solved the heroin problem with fentanyl?
Yeah,
Yeah. You know how there's no more overdoses, there's no more junkies, there's no more addiction.
Yeah,
It's all fixed. All you need is tons of cops with guns, and
it's like when you go to Appalachia,
Yeah.
and there's nobody like constantly dying of
Yeah.
fentanyl overdoses.
yeah.
out there.
And all you need is to have lots of laws and rules and people to enforce the rules and people to
Lock more
enforce the
people up.
Yeah, jails. It's worked so well. You know how there's zero drugs in prison?
Yeah. It's a fucking paradise
Yeah.
of non-drug use.
We know that violence solves problems. So all we got to do is put like 500 more cops on the res. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
That
I
is the
get it. I get what they're
solution.
doing now. They're going to cause a nuclear war that will solve drugs.
Hey,
See?
there you go.
It's just 4D chess.
Start dropping some nukes on those Afghani opium
Yep.
fields.
Yep.
There we go.
There we go.
Yep.
If you have no more inner cities, no more inner city violence.
There you go.
You got to think fourth dimensionally like Elon Musk.
Yeah, this is like the chess that you play up and down.
Yeah.
I sound like a moron. But, I mean,
It's a Star Trek reference, you nerds.
but that's the thing with all of this is, those people who are driven by that ideology of, locking down the border and that these outsiders are dangerous,
Everybody's other.
everybody's other.
That just shrinks the us until there's like a tiny group of us.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who rule everybody else. And
Well, that's
there was a guy in the 1930s that was really into that idea too. There's a couple of them. One was Italian, the other guy was Austrian.
one turned out to be Russian.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you know that I did?
Actually, the communists were better about that. The communists spread their ideology to everybody.
Yes.
You had to be part of the party, but the people
Yeah.
from the party were from all walks of life.
Yeah. Well, how many black people are there in Russia?
How many black people are in Russia now? Yeah,
Not many.
Not many. Why would they go there?
I don't know.
There's so many better places to go.
Russia seems pretty cool.
It's just pretty cold.
It's just as cold here.
I don't think so.
I think so.
It's cold and the people historically starve a lot.
Somebody fact check us.
Yeah.
But I mean, this whole thing of like, let's scare everybody into thinking that these people are inherently evil.
Well, fear is the mind killer.
And that's it's the best way to, it sounds counterintuitive probably, but the idea of pacification through fear,
Yeah.
it does work.
Yeah, for a while, I guess. Yeah.
It does.
The Soviet Union hung around for
Yeah.
70 years. North Korea's been going for, they completely brainwashed those people.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it works pretty well.
yeah.
I mean, as long as people allow it to
I mean,
work.
you don't mind misery and suffering.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you constantly think that everybody, who you don't know is dangerous,
Yeah.
then, you end up, we end up with what we've got now. Like you said, instead of, spending, how about you make a dozen less fighter jets
Right.
and solve world hunger?
Yeah, yeah. Why don't you put all that engineering prowess into making another smarter weapon? You have self-flying rockets that take you to space.
The permaculture stuff.
Yeah,
Why not do that?
yeah.
I mean,
Drop seeds, not bombs.
yeah, that's.
Imagine like armies of AI.
We got the long-haired Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The hippies aren't wrong. I mean, the hippies created your iPhone. Whether or not that works out in the end, the oligarchs got a hold of it.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is that yeah? But those hippies, some of them ended up becoming oligarchs.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, the way money can change people, money and power.
Give me a bunch of it. I promise you, it won't change me. Just give me a lot.
That's the thing is, I mean, you and I have talked about this many, many times, and I genuinely do. I mean, look, I know that if I had billions of dollars, I would just end up giving it away or doing things. You know what I mean? For people, I just wonder how.
I'd make them play elaborate games like Mr. Beast.
Well, the only thing I want see, but I would want to buy the 49ers. That would be pretty dope.
Change their name to the 69ers.
What the hell? Well, I don't know. 49ers is like, that's actually
It's kind of like a genocide.
bad historical.
It's like a genocide.
It really is.
Yeah. Team named after genocide.
Yeah, it is.
You can call them
and not just killing natives, killing Chinese people too.
Yeah.
Not good.
It could be the Israeli team.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so bad. Which one's worse? Oh, I don't know. But the Jerusalems. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, people should go look at what Tom Homan said about us. And I mean, you asked that before. I do think it's going to get a lot worse here.
Yeah.
I do think it will. I mean, I kind of think it's inevitable with Holman clearly is a true believer. Stephen Miller has a lot of influence, and he is a true believer. And I do think that Trump is also a true believer. He is, I think that you're correct. He is one of the, I think he believes in the great replacement theory of white people, which is, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, there's so many people now, like the kids that are being born now, they're just a shade of brown.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is mixing in together, and which I think is a good thing. It gives people a different perspective on stuff. But
plus, you like that thick booty.
Yeah, you got that. But here's the thing, though, is that I think it's like the smaller, the more that white people feel like they're being edged out, then the more rabid they become.
Yeah.
But
they enlist the poor. Like, they weaponize the poor when, we should be talking class war, not race war.
And that's what I've advocated for class war forever. That's why Luigi, hero.
Because race is such a, it's such a superficial thing, right? It's basically what kind of biome did your ancestors live in, and that created the genetic variation that
you have a certain you have a certain amount of melanin, or a certain gene that causes like curly hair.
If you wait another few thousand years, you're all going to look the same anyway.
Yeah,
like if you live in this biome long enough, take away modern medicine, you're going to turn right back into that.
Yep, for sure.
All right, the skin will get lighter in the north because vitamin D,
and there's less.
Yeah,
there's less sun.
Yeah, skin will get darker in the south.
Yep,
because more sun.
It's just it's really.
But it's our ideas.
Yes.
And it's our
conditioning.
What we think are intrinsic beliefs that we're actually learning.
Yeah. Well, that I think that is interesting too, because I think people believe that they come to these ideas all on their own.
No.
And they don't realize, like, you've been being conditioned your entire life.
Even simple things like left and right handed.
Yeah.
Like, can be as simple as that's the first hand you pick something up with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your parents gonna, like, nuns used to try to actively work against left-handedness.
Yeah.
Even someone who was left-handed and make them write with the right hand.
Yeah, they thought it was like
it's like a devil thing.
Yeah, it was like which is, I don't know. Whatever.
Look, that's why
strange.
people say bless you when you sneeze. Same reason.
I thought it was something to do because of like the plague or
The
some
devil
shit
was
like
getting
that.
up your nose.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and there's gonna be things that they look back on us in 100 years.
Yeah, they'd be like, those people had electricity. It was cool.
Yeah, no. I mean, that certainly isn't possible. I mean,
They had medicine.
We could be facing fucking water
They had
world
crops
in 100 years. But my as long as the ideologues who are running the government and have control of the nuclear weapons don't lose their damn minds, and the world, continues on its little chug-along motion here, I do think in 100 years, they're going to look back on some of the things that we do and say, how primitive.
Well, nationalism's stupid.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's probably maybe less stupid than what came before it. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, before that came was empires. I mean, that's pretty damn stupid.
I mean, there was feudalism for a while.
Monarchies. That's stupid.
And it was like theocracy.
That's really
Theocracy's
stupid.
been a popular one.
Yeah.
Dictatorships are pretty popular.
Yep.
But once upon a time, like if you were some peasant in, Normandy, you didn't care. You didn't care what the kings called.
You're just trying to eke
You're
out an
just a
existence.
dude, and this is where you live, and this is what you speak.
Yep. You're a farmer.
Yeah.
You're trying to make, you know what I mean? You're trying to harvest enough to make it through the winter.
The guys with swords say do this. Okay.
Yep. And it's I don't know if it's maybe the connection of more people. I think that's actually a good thing, because then you start to realize that you are being oppressed. You know, one way or another, all of us are being oppressed, unless you're in that elite class. When you get to the point where you have enough money where you don't need anybody, that, like, I know people look at me funny when I say this, but and I hate the concept of money itself, because I think it does so much damage to human interaction, and relations with each other. But really, the only way you truly get free is when you have enough resources that you can literally do whatever you want.
Right.
That's freedom.
Money doesn't buy happiness; it buys options.
Yes, it buys options.
Yeah,
and it buys freedom.
Even though none of it's real.
No. Well,
state's not real. Government's not real.
Even the idea of I'm talking basically about
ownership's not real.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, it's not even the concept of money itself. Like, it doesn't even matter if it's a fiat currency. It's the resources. So, do you have a home? Do you have access to, do you have the resources to have unlimited electricity? Do you have the resources to feed yourself?
Yeah.
And you don't need,
can you travel
you don't need a
want?
boss.
Yeah.
Can you buy a car? Can you fix a car? And you don't have to rely on anybody else.
Yeah.
To come up with the resources to be able to pay that person.
You don't need to ask someone else for it.
That's freedom. That is freedom.
Yeah.
To me, that's freedom. And, to me, I think, they say money can't buy happiness. I don't know that that's true, because to me, freedom, true freedom, that's happiness. Like, you people have no idea the shit I would do if I was truly free.
Right.
I mean, like, for real. Like, I would just...
You tell the president what to do in the Oval Office.
No.
While your kid was standing there picking his nose.
It would probably be worse than that. Oh, you're Giuliani? Oh, no, that was Elon's kid.
Elon Musk, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. That happened.
Yeah.
Man. See, we got to get good at grifting, too. Like, people are just okay with that. There's millions of people that were like, yeah, that was fine. That was cool.
I don't know. I don't think I could do it. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe that's a self-righteous, hero complex thing that I have, but I really don't think I could grift like that.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, it becomes a full-time job.
Yeah.
You have to be that guy all the time.
Why would you want to be that? You know what I mean? Why would you want to be that smarmy piece of trash?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But we can do little things. We can change the way we talk about things.
Sure.
You know, like we don't have to buy the propaganda machine and be part of it.
We don't have to.
You know, those people, they're not migrants, they're people.
They're people.
And they're not cargo. They chose to get on that boat. They had agency, and they're part of their own. They are a participant in their own demise, and that sucks. But
they're not evil.
you know, they just wanted to cross an imaginary line so they could get a job.
So they could get a job and live.
And the people whose job it was to do that chose the poor night, and they fucked up, and everybody died, and it sucked.
Yep.
So.
And now we're looking down the barrel of more intervention in our community.
Yeah.
And I'm
There's
not
going to be a bunch of people with guns who make
and I'm not
rules.
putting that on that particular situation.
No, that's just the
itself.
incident they'll
It's
use.
just,
They'll-
because now we have these
Don't
ideologues who are in office and in charge. We're going
and you have
to,
local people who are on board.
Yeah.
There's a lot of local people on board.
Indian agents,
You know,
essentially.
my comedy buddy, Johnny B, he always fucking Indians. You can never make them happy.
Yeah.
They want you to do something about the alien smuggling, and then when you do, they cry and bitch and cry about it.
Yep.
And he's got a little bit of a point there.
He does have a
like
point.
You got to pick your lane. Like for me, as someone who thinks guns should be available to the people, will it make things more dangerous? Yep.
Could make things more safe.
It could be one and the other. Things might be more dangerous.
Two
you
things-
will have more shootings for sure.
But
For sure. You will
some
have,
things aren't, it's not necessarily mutually exclusive that safety and more guns are mutually exclusive.
Well,
it's not necessarily the
sometimes
case.
safety's not the point.
Sometimes you're self-protection.
Yeah. Sometimes, guess what? The world's not safe.
Right.
Someday
That is very
you're
true.
going to die. Everybody, you're going to die.
Yep.
Going to happen. So, unless you're Elon or Peter Thiel, who thinks they're going to vitamin their way out of it.
Well, I'm telling you,
They're going
if
to
we
drink children's blood.
I want the singularity. That's what I want.
That's what they're working towards.
Yeah, I know.
I
don't think they're going to get there by the time.
I don't think it is what they think it is.
You think it's just like you're going to end up in a fiber optic?
I don't
Some
think it's
kind
any
of
of that.
amorphous, like you don't really have a consciousness. It just gets energy. Some kind of energy gets transferred into a computer.
Maybe three guys do it. Everybody else continue on as life is normal.
Yeah. I mean, I'd give it a whirl.
You'd play that game.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. Watch your language.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I can't, we're seeing all this stuff now come about, and I know that we've been talking a lot about the things that are going on outside, but they do affect us here. And this stuff with the border, it's going to impact us. And the scrutiny on us is going to become very intense, I believe.
Yeah, guys. So get good at droning. Radio communications.
Well, we've been talking about doing counter surveillance.
Yeah.
You and I, anyway.
Yeah, we're just busy.
Well, I mean, I'm down for it. If we have people who actually know how to do like counter intel and stuff like that, hit us up.
Yeah, CSIS, hit us up again.
They are already looking at us.
Yo, do you think they're watching? They got to be watching like everything going on and freaking out, right? Like,
Probably.
Canadian intelligence agency. Like,
Yeah.
that's their whole job, right?
Yeah.
To make sure there's no threats to their country, and there is a giant threat to their country.
I mean, he's an orange man in
Like,
the Oval
he's not
Office.
fucking kidding.
Yeah, no, he is not joking.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, okay, I still believe that, people get a little people get hysterical about, Trump is the second coming of Hitler, and he's gonna,
Well,
do
the
away
Bible
with-
does say you have the mark of the beast on your head. Make America great again.
There you go.
And he says the religious, the ones who wear it on their sleeve, will really, really like this guy.
Okay.
So, I mean, might be watching Revelations come about.
Ooh.
Right? The four horsemen of the apocalypse, one of them was pestilence. We did have a pandemic, and there might be another one coming.
Does pestilence count as, or does a disease count as pestilence?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Well, all I'm saying is I don't like I don't, and this may be a blind spot that I have, but people have gone so far into the hysterics
Right.
that I refuse to engage. You know what I mean, on that level. So then I just tend to stick with Trump's a moron.
Yeah.
And is he have bad policies? Yes. Do I think he's he's going to tear down democracy entirely? No. Stop being Chicken Little. The sky isn't falling yet. But I also, stay vigilant to make sure that and be aware of what's going on, because I'm not ruling out that he may try to go down that road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, don't get hysterical, but stay vigilant.
I think the midterms and then the next election will tell the tale where he'll try to keep himself in power.
Yeah, that's
provided Greece doesn't kill him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Elon might be keeping him alive with cryogenics and what the hell's that shit? Stem cells,
ketamine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so who knows? But I do think that we need to be on alert here for what's coming, because that hillbilly from Carthage is
he could be more of a problem for us locally than the Orange Man.
He is going to be a giant problem. And what I've been thinking about too is what's the SRMT, what's the tribal council, are they talking with this guy? And if they
or the cops,
if they're not talking with him, our the cops here too. If they're not talking with him, why?
Right.
And if you are talking with him, what are you guys saying to each other?
Mm-hmm.
And you need to tell us that.
Give us money, we'll do whatever you want.
Well, that's probably what's happening. But I want to know that.
And then they'll come on a press release how they're going to protect the border.
Yeah.
Because of this tragedy.
Now
you can read the headline now, can't you?
Now give us an American Blackhawk.
For the safety and security of our community.
Well, they call us domestic dependents.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that idea, and it's, I kind of laugh now when you hear either of the councils, say, it's like talking in propaganda that you don't mean.
Right.
Because, it's propaganda. There's no border here.
Yeah.
You don't act like that.
Yes.
You
make us
not.
bring our government issued ID to your caucus. That's happening pretty soon in April.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, don't give me the nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, don't pretend. Just own, that, and it's, I don't even know that some of them don't really, not that they don't, they probably really believe that there shouldn't be a border, or that we shouldn't look at our territory that way, but they don't act that way. So don't pretend like you do act in that manner. You don't.
Especially when you have the capacity to do something about it.
Right. You're there in that, in that seat, but you don't do anything.
Right.
So.
All right. Now the positive one. We lost about half an hour.
Yeah.
We were talking for like a good 40 minutes.
Yeah, we did have a good one.
We're at 47 minutes right now. So we're all right. I'm going to eat something.
Good. All right.
All right. I'm Joshua.
I'm Isaac.
This is Sage Against the Machine.